In March 2023, a Mormon mother from Utah published a children's book titled Are You With Me? The story aimed to offer a peaceful message to kids dealing with grief and the loss of a loved one. This book was initially met with positive reviews and was praised after its author, 33-year-old Kouri Richins, told the story of why she wrote it. The year before, in 2022, her husband, 39-year-old Kouri Richins, suddenly passed away. According to Kouri, she couldn't find a good way of comforting her children after the loss of their father. She searched everywhere online, in bookstores, and on Amazon, but couldn't find a children's book covering the sensitive topic. So she decided to do it herself and was inspired to write Are You With Me for her kids. This all sounds like a touching story of overcoming a tragedy and moving forward with grief. But recently, in May of 2023, disturbing allegations against Kouri came out. In a shocking twist, she had been accused of murdering her husband through poisoning. The night of Eric's death, he drank a Moscow Mule that was laced with fentanyl. It's believed that Kouri put the fatal drug in his cocktail before giving it to him in their Park City home. He would have instantly had a reaction to the spiked drink. Kouri told law enforcement that when she noticed Eric was unresponsive, she made several attempts to do CPR on him. This story didn't make sense though. According to the first responders who arrived at the scene, they said that the victim was discovered with blood spilling out of his mouth. If Kouri had truly tried to perform CPR, the blood likely wouldn't have been there at all. Leading up to that tragic night, evidence that Kouri had been trying to make herself the only beneficiary of her husband's life insurance was discovered. Eric had named his sister as the person who would have full control of his assets after apparently growing suspicious that his wife had it out for him and was planning something nefarious. He never told his partner that he switched her name out for his sister on the policy due to these growing fears. Eric wanted to make sure that his children would have access to the money if he died. He also made claims before his death that Kouri had tried to poison him on several occasions in the past, and that she even stole money from him directly through forged signatures and credit cards. Once, Kouri allegedly used Eric's name to take out a $200,000 loan. She also took out other life insurance policies for her husband without notifying him between 2015 and 2017, which totaled in the millions. A big source of contention between the couple leading up to the incident was buying an expensive mansion worth roughly $2 million. Kouri wanted to get the home and flip it, but her husband was against the extravagant purchase. He thought it was way out of their price range and was too big of a risk. Strangely enough, just a few short hours after Eric's passing, the woman successfully closed on the mansion and held a party. When this news came out, the suspect was quickly arrested. She is currently being held for first-degree murder and possession of controlled substance charges. Just 1 month before she was taken into police custody, Kouri made an appearance on TV for an interview on her journey through grief and writing the book. In it, she told the story of how Eric passed suddenly, leaving her and her 3 young boys devastated and shocked. When speaking with the interviewers, she mentioned that she hoped other people would read the story and find happiness, despite the challenges and losses they might face. While this is no doubt an inspiring message, when you consider how it came from a potential murder, the words kind of lose their meaning and become a bit unsettling. But let's shift a bit and take a look at the victim himself, Kouri Richins. He was a beloved member of his community and a loving father. He enjoyed spending time outdoors as a coach and out in the woods hunting. This love of nature likely sprouted from his youth, which consisted of growing up on a cattle ranch, working the land, and taking care of the animals. Eric was the oldest child in a family of 3 kids and was born on May 13, 1982. As he got older, his athleticism gradually increased, and he started playing multiple sports, including baseball, soccer, and basketball. Other than Kouri, it did not seem like there were any other significant romantic interests in Eric's life. He was introduced to his wife by a family friend named Linda King. Linda set the 2 young lovebirds up together while Kouri was working at her local Home Depot. Similar to many other members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is more well known as the Mormon faith, after turning 18, Eric served a 2-year mission. During that time, individuals are sent to certain districts, and in Eric's case, he served in Mexico City. He received a bit of training before leaving and trying to spread the word of his faith. And when he returned, Eric founded a masonry business from the ground up. Gradually, it became very successful, and he was able to help a few friends start their own businesses and prosper. By doing this, he made a name for himself and was well respected within his circles. As he built his career, he and Kouri also started building up their family. Together, they had 3 children, Carter, Weston, and Ashton. Before his death, the couple had been married for 9 years. Police officers eventually uncovered evidence that Kouri, a supposedly faithful, God-loving woman, messaged a friend asking for help getting hold of the fentanyl that took Eric's life. She allegedly paid $900 for half of the substance and another $900 on Valentine's Day. She specifically mentioned Michael Jackson stuff in the message to her dealer. Those who are in the know understand that this meant fentanyl. Despite telling investigators that she did not pick up or use her cell phone a single time the night Eric passed away, Kouri's phone records told a different story, showing that she had, in fact, been speaking with someone throughout the night. Sadly, though, the chat logs and messages were strangely deleted. Before we continue, let us know what you think so far. Does it sound like Kouri is guilty? Or do you think all the evidence against her is coincidental? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from our amazing viewers. If you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to subscribe and join the Bad Badger fam. Apparently, on Valentine's Day in 2022, shortly after Kouri asked about the fentanyl, she had a meal with her husband to celebrate the holiday of love. Right after eating, Eric started to have a hard time breathing and even lost consciousness. He had to use an EpiPen and take a few Benadryl to slow down the bad reaction. Of course, not long after, he was murdered. In the killer cocktail that took Eric's life, a medical professional says there was enough fentanyl in his cup to kill a man 5 times over. In case you are not familiar with the substance, fentanyl is an extremely strong painkiller, topping morphine by about 100 times. The United States has seen a growing problem with fentanyl overdoses in the last few years. Lawmakers have been trying to address the issue, but no big fix has been put into place yet. According to the National Safety Council, in 2020 alone, over 75,000 people died due to the addictive and dangerous substance. During interviews and interrogations after her husband died, Kouri made multiple claims that Eric had struggled with addiction during his time in high school. She said that he once relied on pain medication just to get through the day, but that he had been clean for the majority of the time they'd been together. These strange stories about Eric having an addiction came as a complete surprise to the man's family members and close friends. None of them had heard or recognized any signs of Eric being an addict during high school, and they never saw him abusing substances of any kind. This led many of them to grow suspicious of Kouri. They thought it was possible she made the addiction story up to try and make the presence of fentanyl in her family's home a little less shady. When officers were called to the Richins family home on March 4th, 2022, it was about 3:20 a.m. They were let into the house and discovered Eric unresponsive in his bedroom near the edge of the bed. Paramedics tried to save his life by doing everything they could, but it wasn't enough, and he was officially declared dead at the scene. Detectives quickly decided to take Kouri's statement about what happened leading up to the sudden death. She told them that after making Eric a cocktail to celebrate selling a house, she went to one of her children's bedrooms. The child was apparently having a bit of trouble sleeping after a nightmare, so she wanted to comfort him and ended up falling asleep herself. Then, at around 3 a.m., she woke up and realized that she wasn't in her own bed, so Kouri got up. In the bedroom, she saw Eric lying completely still. When she put her hand against his skin, he was freezing cold. Worried, Kouri said that she then dialed 911 to get help. She notably told police that she left her cell phone in her and Eric's bedroom during the overdose, but the phone records didn't match up. As we mentioned before, she was texting an unnamed person back and forth during this time. Over a month after the mysterious death, on May 2nd, investigators managed to track down the strange acquaintance and interviewed them. At the time, the person was already facing multiple charges related to drugs and distribution in other cases. They told officers that Kouri had asked them for pain meds, saying they were for an unknown investor. The supplier was ordered to drop off the drugs at one of the houses Kouri was flipping. They complied and took the cash the woman left behind at the Utah property. The person went on to say that on Valentine's Day, the suspect texted them and asked for something stronger. This testimony contributed to law enforcement's decision to finally arrest Kouri. If she really did ask for something stronger on February 14th, it would line up with recent reports that she tried poisoning Eric on the holiday as well. We mentioned that the victim had a hard time breathing and seemed to be having an allergic reaction after sharing a meal with his wife that day. Some claims have said that Kouri made him a sandwich and likely laced it. That night, Eric broke out into hives and even passed out for a few hours. Perhaps the suspect was trying to end her husband's life, but didn't use a lethal enough dose. This would explain why the Moscow Mule had enough fentanyl in it to kill 5 people. Maybe Kouri didn't want to fail a second time. It would also explain who the strange investor was mentioned in the messages with the dealer. It's also been said that the woman tried to literally break into Eric's safe, which supposedly held over $100,000 in cash. According to some who knew him, he was saving it for a rainy day. On March 6, 2022, reports say that Kouri set up an appointment with a locksmith behind the victim's back to drill into the safe. You'd think that a married couple would share important information, like the combination of a safe with each other. But then again, these two didn't exactly have the healthiest and most trusting relationship, especially after what we've heard so far. There have been other claims calling Kouri's faithfulness to her longtime husband into question as well. Someone who hasn't been identified from Eric's side of the family says that the victim believed his wife might have been cheating on him. Earlier on in their marriage, he had similar doubts, but had never found enough evidence to prove an affair. While nothing has been confirmed, detectives did find lengthy chat logs between Kouri and a person who has only been listed as CL. It's also worth mentioning that some people believe CL could actually be the dealer. If she's innocent, Kouri definitely wasn't acting like a widow who had just lost her husband of 9 years right after his death. We mentioned earlier that she threw a party to celebrate closing on a multi-million-dollar property. This event took place one day after Eric's passing in the couple's home. Records indicate that the party involved heavy drinking and loud celebration with many people. One of Eric's sisters apparently found out about the event and wasn't happy about it. So she went to Kouri's house that day and was allegedly assaulted by her sister-in-law for showing up. This hasn't been fully confirmed though. Whether or not Kouri actually killed her husband is up to the court to decide. She's currently being held in custody while awaiting the next few steps in the case. Many people around the country, especially Eric's loved ones, have been biting their nails to hear developments in the story. We have to stress that as of May 2023, whether or not Kouri is guilty hasn't been decided. Her case is still playing out in court, and all suspects should be considered innocent until proven guilty. But we'd love to hear from our viewers in the comments below. What do you think about this story so far? Do you have any other theories on what could have happened to Eric or who killed him? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Bad Badger.